Hello everyone, this is Johnny from BallBreakers Clan, bringing you another video sponsored by Ultimate Golf and Miniclip.com. If you'd like to join along and play with us, you can find the description has a link, and there are also links to other streamers, and those other streamers will give you information as far as how to play the game. So check all of them out, like their videos, subscribe to their channels, as well as like and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Today, I'm going to play the 3 tournaments. I have the finals of the Golf Madness, the finals of the G3 Golf Summit, and the Par 4 Crosswinds Challenge. So let's go ahead and look at Golf Madness first. So the ball payouts are pretty good for the Golf Madness. I've not used any trophy balls to this point. I have used some Pro D1s. So as long as I can get into the top 8, there's a diamond ball or diamond bag, enough trophy balls to cover what I would use today, and enough Pro D1s to cover what I used last round and this round. The first round I only played using high flights, so it's not a problem. So we have 5 replays. Let's go ahead and check out the standings. See what we need to get into that top 8 spot. I joined these earlier, so the bracket should be filled by now. So I'm seeing minus 23. With a tiebreaker of almost 18,000. Let's take a look at the top person. There's 1 extra. So 1 extra, and pretty consistently over 850 tiebreaker. That's what we need if we want to win. If we want to get into the 8th, it looks like no extras. And over 8 on the tiebreakers. So let's go ahead and get started. Take a look at hole 1. So we have a par 4. Not too long. Great tailwind. We should be able to get up into wedge range, but we're going to want lower wind for that chip, so we're going to use a trophy ball. Right now I'm just aiming center fairway. .5 ring adjustment, and then I'll push the max. And this should be somewhere in the short iron to wedge range. I would prefer short iron. So there's our men's short iron. So we're going to adjust this as a men's short iron. Let's take a look at the hop on our guide. Fairly flat green. I don't see any sign of it ripping back. So let's straighten up our ball guide now and aim. As you can see, we take a right side bounce. So we're going to use some left spin to straighten that up. now we have a bounce. It looks like it's just right at the cup. I'm going to push that forward just a little bit because we got to have a headwind. Make sure we're still lined up. And we're going to adjust 1.7 rings. Fairly close. Could have been a little better, but at least a decent tiebreaker to start. So next we got a par 5. The couple that we looked at showed that people were getting pretty close on the second shot, which means we shouldn't have any trouble reaching. It is fairly long. And if you look at the ball guide in a current state, you see that it drifts to the right and it bounces to the right. So we're going to use some left spin and some left curl to try to make sure we offset that and stay up on the green or the fairway. As you can see, we bounced fairly straight and we didn't start turning until we started rolling. That'll help keep us on the fairway. Whereas if you just left it, you would take a hard kick to the right and roll right and risk rolling into that rough. Alright, so I'm going to use about a half a top here. We're going to line up. As you can see right now, our guide is just going a little bit to the right of the cup. What I remember, I believe this is a little bit of a straight. .4 ring adjustment. There's one ring. There's 0.4. You notice we have a little bit of overpower. And since we have a headwind, I'm going to increase the top a little bit. Hopefully we'll get in nice and close in the 1700. $16.91. Could have went with another half a bar top. Got it a little closer. We wouldn't have been dropping. Alright, so we got another par 4. Not too long. Let's sorry. Let's see if I can find where Bigfoot range is in this. Alright, so there's Bigfoot. And if I use this grid and line out to see how far the Bigfoot is. Then I can see from the pin how far I need to be to get into Bigfoot range. So Bigfoot range on this is in that second or third tree, the middle tree, shadow. So if I go past that, we're going to be short iron. So right now we're going to plan on setting up near that range and see if that works. So we have a fairly straight headwind. And if you look, we're at min, Bigfoot, max short iron. So we drove just a little too long, because if you look at where we're at the second tree, or just right at the third tree, not a little bit before it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and push, since we have a headwind, into min Bigfoot. Now normally in a headwind on Bigfoot, I'm about 1.5 rings from the initial bounce, which means I would be about right where this red line is. So I'm about 3.5 rings from where I want to be landing. So after I adjust, I'm going to push back. But we're still going to need some underpower, because 3.1 rings is only 1.8 rings on the adjustment. So we're back at min, so that's 2 rings. And we're going to do circle break underpower. As you can see, we still ended up about a ring, but a decent tiebreaker. I could have went with max of short iron and overpower on the shot. But the backspin on the Bigfoot is a little easier to control than an unknowing where you're going to hit backspin on a short iron. Another par 5. As you can see from the ball guide, without any spins, it kicks left and runs left. So again, right spin and touch of right curl to hold the fairway. So there's a couple different ways we can approach this. We can try to approach it landing right in here, a little more right at the pin, or we can come from the left here, which is a little more open with side spin. I'm going to go for the little bit more aggressive approach, just because it is a final and we need the tiebreaker. So I'm going to choose the fattest part of this. We do get our ultimate shot, which is good. We land where we were aiming. We're going to roll up. Really close to dropping, but a great tiebreaker. Now, had this been a qualifying round where I was trying to make sure that I just made the cut, I would have played safer, right side with curl and side spin. But we are trying to get an extra as well as great tiebreakers, and that was the best shot for that. Just riskier. Like I said, we still need to drop one extra. Alright, so we have max Bigfoot and a headwind. So we're going max backspin. 1.8 rings from the first bounce. Now I'm going to try to line up the shot here. So I got the first bounce in line, but if you look at the second bounce, you can see it goes to the left of the pin. So I need to add some right spin on it and pull it in line with the pin. So there we are, in line with the pin. We are at max, or close enough to it. 3.5 is going to be 2.3. We do get our ultimate shot. Just a little bit short, but a great tiebreaker again. We were in line. Had I had a little bit more overpower, or set that up at about 1.6 rings from first bounce, that drops. So far, we've only had one tiebreaker outside of our range. But of course, if you want to win, you have to continue those. Alright, so we have a par 4. Got a tailwind. We should be able to get down pretty far on this. So let's see if we can't get within short wedge range. So 314. We're in wedge range, but I don't know if it's short. This might be more along the 70%. So that's closer to 75. So we're looking at about 2.9 rings. We're also going to need side spin because we don't want to get too close to this edge, because if you notice, it can really yank your ball. I'm going to set up about 2 squares short. So as you can see, our ball guide is curling to the left. Let's push up close and see how much it curls. So we're looking at about a half cup. From up close, it's about a half cup. So that's about a cup right there. And we're going to get a little bit of push out of our wind. Great right's not going to help. But we didn't have enough on there anyway. We were set up a little too far back. Perfect ball would have come in close. You know, with that great right, we were running to the right side of the cup. So you needed about a square and a half on that hole, not 2. And set up about a cup right of the cup to allow the guide to turn. So we've got a fairly flat with a decent tailwind. This should put us in short iron range. Yep, max short iron. You see there's the max. So we're just below the max a little bit. And if you notice, we've got an uphill slope because the ball guide actually rips back and it's a tailwind. So what I'm actually going to do, set up right there. And I'm going to go 2.6 rings. We do get an ultimate shot. Good bounces. And it just didn't rip back enough. We really needed that extra backspin that I took off of it. It was going back towards the hole. That would have been center pin. Would have dropped. But again, 883 on the tiebreaker. Another really good close tiebreaker. I'm going to back out and take a look at the root on this. To see maybe if we can get a little more control. Now, I haven't been playing the root as much, so I'm not exactly sure on how many rings this set back. So I'm going to go with 1.7. And switching to the root, actually I'm going to go 2. Will allow us to actually land on the green, use the backspin, instead of having to use side spin and curl. And we're going to adjust 3.9 rings. Again, we're in line, just a little short on the setup. I went 2 rings. 1.8 was probably the better choice there. But another great tiebreaker. Still looking for that elusive extra. This should put us down into wedge range again. Let's see what percent of wedge. So there's the max. So if that's max wedge, and we have max top, and we're set up about a square and a half short, we're looking at about 65% club. Which will be 2.3 rings. So now let's take a look at our guide. So there's about a square. Let's see how much our guide curls. So it's fairly straight. A little drift to the right at the end. And we're going to get a little drift to the right with the push with the wind. So I'm just going to set up on the left edge of the cup. Now I'm going to adjust my 2.3 rings. Straight left. And you see, we drifted off to the right, so we didn't give it enough credit for the turn it was given. So even with a perfect, that wasn't dropping. So you need about a cup offset, maybe 2 cups offset with the lower wedge. I'm hoping once we develop and get a better guideline on our wedges, we'll start to see those more and get those drops. Right now we just kind of have to guess at them. Which isn't ideal, of course. Because anytime you're just guessing, you're gonna get more wrong than you get right. Okay, so there's max on our short iron. I would have preferred to set up a little closer with more backspin. We still haven't gotten our drop, but we are staying consistently close, which will give us a chance if we have our drop in order to get that first place. Again, this one drifts to the right. So left spin, straightening out the guide with the left spin, and then I will use some left curl to offset that just a little bit, kind of help hold the line. I was trying to get into mid short iron range. That's why I didn't overpower. But it looks like we're going into max wedge. So that's about 86%. We'll be pulling back some, so I'm going to say 84. If you look at our guide again, we'll go ahead and push it up and put it into the cup so we can see how much it turns. You can see it's turning about a half cup up close. I'm going to go 3.8 rings. We landed a little right of our aim spot, so we were under adjusted, but our speed was pretty close to right. So we really needed about another half ring on that adjustment. So this is a tough par 5, especially when you get headwind, because headwind pretty much means you have to drop the chip. So let's take a look at the standings of the ones that are at the top. And you'll see they drop the chip. $9.99 drop the chip. $9.99 they drop the chip. And at the 22s, they all chipped as well. So for this one who missed it. So you have to chip this. I've tried to drive it through before. I usually end up in the sand or on the rough. Both are fine with their Nirvana or the Orca. Good chances it drops. You can also lay up and use your wedge. But again, we've got a headwind. So we're just going to lay up and hope we get our drop with our wedge. We haven't been playing very well with the wedge. Looks like we're gonna have to get a drop with the ninja now. Shouldn't have overpowered that. Probably cost us our round. What do we have here? About 37% club. We'll have to adjust our spin and stuff around a little bit. Now this club has a pretty good shot view. They're clearly turning to the hole, and with a little bit of the wind. So I'm setting up on the left side of the pin, give it a little bit more room to turn. I'm doing 2.6 rings. Great shot. Come in just a little on the left side. Perfect would have been a little hot, but it probably would have dropped. Also needed to be about a square back instead of closer to the pin. So we drop a shot there and have a poor tiebreaker. Not good. So that now means out of the rest, we need 2 extras to win. And for top 8, we need 1. Okay, so max, short iron. And a headwind. Let's take a look at our ball guide and see what it's doing. No huge rip back. Hey, Biancanary. Thanks for the good luck. How are you doing today? Did you have a good New Year's? going to adjust 3 rings. See, that ripped back a little more than I expected. We were dead center on our adjustment again. Set up a little short. So our adjustments have been fairly spot on today. We're just consistently setting up short still.
Well, if you're wondering what's happened, so am I. The computer that we have running our news from time to time took off.
New Year was pretty good. We didn't really do much. Been dealing. The wife has COVID, so stayed home. Try not to infect anybody else. You know, that type of thing. But she's been okay. It's pretty minor. And Tour 10, you talking Tour 10 on this game or Tour 10 in Golf Clash? Because I haven't started looking at Tour 10 on this game yet. Still have a few more trophies to go. We need to switch clubs. We're going to need the El Capitan here on Golf Clash. So there is a set of guides out there. You should be able to find them on Golf Clash Elite, made by Pyro Kings. I haven't started looking into them too much, as I don't play a lot of Tour 10. I mean, most of the shootouts, you know, the Porthello Cove is probably the hardest and the most frustrating. So this is going to be a hard one to get close on. I'm going to play somewhat of a rough bump. That's the one you're using. Just took a bad hop there. I've been able to bump this many a times before. So we're just going to go with the Orca. Not really adjust. At least we get our drop. Yeah, the special ball people are out pretty strong generally in 10 and 11. Now, I do use Quasar sometimes, but I also use the Titan in 10. Depends on which account I'm using in the clubs I have. Alright, so this is a slightly uphill. So I'm going to push that just a little closer. I'm going to go 2.1. Good bounce, and again, just short. I do occasionally use the app for this now, especially when I get a new club, until I kind of learn it and tweak it. Because it's, you know, it seems like once you get a club down, then you level up on it, and you've got to figure it out all over again. So I'll use an app as a starting spot, and then start adjusting my numbers from there. The hardest thing I'm still struggling with, as you've seen with this, is how far I need to be from the pin, and I keep playing it just short. I mean, eventually I'll start to get down how far I need to set up on these shots from it. And maybe I'll start getting drops more frequently. So I'm set up right now 3.1 from where I want to be. So I'm going to adjust, push the max, and I'll still use a little bit of, or I won't use any overpower now. Because I'll get a secondary push from the wind, hopefully. Yeah, sometimes with the high winds, you really can't make the full adjustments on some clubs because the range, the winds adjustments is the entire range. I came across that in Tour 9 of this when I was getting 17 winds. So, you know, I was getting 17 winds, I was set up at max, and still couldn't get it right there. What have we had? 1, 2 not close to the cup. Just not enough to win if you can't get those drops. You hate the putting as well. It takes some getting used to. I never really struggled with the putting, as some people have. And that's maybe because I never paid attention to the guide itself. I just looked for it to light up. And then I gave myself room for error to the left side, since I like go from right to left. Like I said, my biggest struggle is determining how far away I need to be from the pin. I just can't seem to get that consistently down. It's like every time I feel like I have a good distance, I'm wrong. Like that. I did not expect that to just die. I mean, it hit the green and went nowhere with 4 back. I mean, almost every other time I've played that club, I get at least a 2 rollout. We are going to have a pretty poor finish with this, with that one mistake. With no extras, one mistake, even though we were consistently at the cup and good tiebreakers. I really have to get that high dialed in. You know, it's just one of those things. Yeah, no problem. Hey, Ryan. Thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying it. Is Ryan your kid? Mine sits in here and watches sometimes, or plays at the same time. Another right there. We hit the pin just a little too high. A little too hot. So we're going to finish in the teens because we missed the one solid shot. I mean, if you look at our tiebreaker, it's a pretty decent tiebreaker, but you know, we didn't have any zeros, didn't have any completely off, but it wasn't even the best of the minus 21s. We got 17,000. Would have taken us up into 8th place if we wouldn't have missed, or if we would have gotten an extra. Now we could replay this if we wanted to, but I've got 2 more tournaments to get through, and wasting another 18 balls on it, you know, that's just not worth it. You're going to end up behind on balls on that. So let's take a look at the payouts on this. Again, it's trophy balls in the 30 to 40 range for the top 10, down to the 20 and the 20s. This is the finals on this as well. That's fine, they can watch. Hopefully they'll be entertained. Do I need to make more sounds and screams and go, ah? Alright, so fairly flat, no turn. They didn't believe that you were talking? Yeah, my kid wants to do some streaming once sometime too. I told him maybe we'll pop up his Minecraft one day and both of us stream while he's playing Minecraft. So 3.1 rings. So how old are your kids? Hey, we get an extra. Dunk that on the second bounce. Again, we were set up too close. So that's a great start. Let's see what we need. So we got a minus 24 in first. And looks like they got two extras. One of them being an albatross. And then we have all of these people and minus 23 who got 1 extra. So hopefully on this next hole we have a tailwind. So you see second on this one, he's got a 1620 tiebreaker. Thanks for the booms. That means he drove the green. Of course we get a headwind, but hopefully we can drive really close with it. We'll stick with the ball we had. I tried the 10% ball, but the little bit of a distance gained isn't worth what we would have lost from the wind. Alright, so we should get really close with this. Now, if I had a better driver, this wouldn't be an issue. But I haven't increased my red barchetta yet, and a lot of the people that are at the top there are Pro 3, so just below Tour Pro. We do get our ultimate shot. So green would be lovely, but close on the fringe. You know, I'll take it. That should be a no adjust. Yeah, the fusion driver is nice. It gets a good roll, but it's just not long enough in headwind a lot of time. So we're not even going to adjust this. We get our ultimate, and we drop a second extra. Alright, so that puts us in line to compete for first place now. Now the difference between that guy that was in second place, his drive and my drive, is I fell short, didn't get there. He had a 1620, which means he drove within about 8 yards of the cup. So he probably had a high red barchetta. So we got a headwind. So do you have any fusion driver or just the Holy? Because I used the Holy up until this went to a 4. And the Holy driver is a pretty good one. Alright, so we're not going to get much of a bounce out of this. As you can see from the ball guide, it even falls short. So we're going to push up pretty close. And it's going to bounce to the right. Alright, so now that we've got our spot, I'm going to straighten out our guide a little bit. There we go. Since it's a headwind, I'm just going to give it a little bit more. This is at the minimum of this club. So we're looking at 2.1 rings. It would be beautiful to get another drop. We hit great, so it's not likely to drop, but hopefully we'll be close. We would have been right at it without the grate. It might have stopped right on the lip and spun back, so we needed to be set up even closer. But a great tiebreaker still. We're going to need high tiebreakers if we want that first place spot. That's what is he at? 19,000. So he had 10,000 on the front. He also drove the green on the second one. As you see, Pro 3. So these are guys who have close to max clubs. So on this one, as you can see from the ball guide, it slides to the left. So right spin to straighten it up. And then I'll use a little bit of curl also. And that should hold us in the center of the fairway. And should take us to about mid short iron. Looks like maybe max short iron. No, min Bigfoot. We're going to get a little bit more bounce than last time. It's not as much of a slope, but it is a headwind. So I'm going to set up at 1.3. And we're going to need some side spin. 3/4 bar. That straightens us up on the hole. 3.7 min Bigfoot is going to be 2.2 rings. I'm just going to push. We do get our ultimate shot. Let's see how we come in here. Good bounce. And bounced right over the cup. Had I not used that overpower, we might have got a lucky bounce. But again, 880. Good tiebreaker. Good adjustment. We were at the cup. It went right over it. I just gave it that little bit of overpower, which I didn't need. So this little drive will take us into wedge range. So let's look at the distance of our wedge. So there is the max range of the wedge. Now if I pull that back, put max top on it, we're looking at about 80% club. If that third red line is 75%. So 3.4 rings. We do get some turn right. So if I straighten that up, you can see how much that turns right. So we're going to offset it and do 3.4 rings. Hopefully we don't come in too hot. Yeah. A little too hot and a little too far right. Now, if we weren't so hot, the curl would have come in a little bit more and would have taken us closer to the drop. We just powered through the turn. So we needed about a 2 square. Hopefully that loss of about 100 on the tiebreaker doesn't hurt us too much. We may have to switch woods. We'll see after this drive. We may need the El Capitan here. The Hellfire may take us enough top spin, but we'll see. Oh, and then we don't even get there. We got a tailwind. Look at our bounce on our Bigfoot. Standard bounce out, which is about 2.3 rings. And then since we have a tailwind, I'm going to take it on out to 2.8. 3.2 is going to be 1.9. Hopefully we have enough to adjust that. Just come in. So I'm going to give it just as soon as the ring closes power. Hopefully that's enough under power for the little bit. Again, right at the cup. Bounced right over it. I could have underpowered just a little bit more. Great tiebreaker there. 1783. That kind of makes up for the tiebreaker we lost on the last one. So good drive. I think this is going to be short iron. Yep, back short iron. Got a tail. It's uphill. So you can see from the short bounce and the more defined guide. So when this spins back, it's going to spin off to the left. So I need to make sure I have a little bit of offset to give it room so it doesn't spin to the left side of the cup. So 3.7 is going to adjust 3.1. We do get our ultimate shot. Hopefully, if we do rip back, it doesn't rip back too far. Didn't rip back far enough. But again, another 840s, 850s tiebreaker, so. We're not going to get as good of a tiebreaker on the front nine as the guy in first place. So we really need to be looking at trying to find another extra. There's max. So we're looking at about mid club here. 3.5 tailwind, so we need to set up short. Gonna be 2.3. Not 2.3. 2.2. The problem with this spot here is you don't really have a lot of room to play with as far as making a mistake. And you really don't want to do what I just did. Just clip the rough, slightly over adjust. Because you hit that rough, you're not coming out. I could have played it as a rough bump, but I don't know that shot as much. We give back one of our extra. That hurts. So we went from being in contention from first to now having to fight. So that was a big, stab there, because not only did we lose our extra and lose a stroke, but we also lost tiebreaker points. So one of the things is the mistakes are often compounded in this game. Because not only do you lose what caused the mistake, but the tiebreaker can drop you a ton of spots. Decent tiebreaker. We could have used a little more top there, and a little more, or a little less on the adjust. So we finished with a minus 12 on the front 9, only 88.93 on the tiebreaker. Is there any spots in this clan yet? Let me back out and check. Oh, no. Almost restarted the round there. Would have lost everything we just did. I haven't been checking to pay attention. So it looks like we're still at 25 of 25. I guess once we find out whether or not a relic is going to play anymore or not, we'll know if there's a spot open. Oh, wrong tournament. So as of right now, there's not anything open. So I'm gonna swap and try this ball and see if I can get really close to get our extra back. So not only is this a power 10 ball, but it's also less wind. Yeah, just not enough. I was really hoping to getting about 25% on this wedge. not going to be able to stretch this out like I normally do. So I'm looking at about 85%. So 5.9 rings. That normally rips back. But as you can tell, it was a downhill slope, so it doesn't rip back so well from a downhill slope. Alright, so we're going to have a short bounce, but we have a tailwind. .3. It's going to be 2.4. We'll just go 2.5. Should have stuck with the 2.4. Still wouldn't have dropped though, but we would have been closer. Long par 4. So this is another one that's going to spin back on us. So let's see if we can get it to spin into the cup. It's a crosswind. So I'm going to go 3.4 rings. 3.5. We get our ultimate shot. We adjusted pretty well, but it ripped back to the left. We were about a 0.2 off on our adjustment. because I wanted to come in on the right side of the pin because I thought the spin would push left due to the wind. Two cards left now till Cat 7. That could be months. You know how they can be. It always seems to come in spurts. We always joke in our clan that the cards always come after the tournament. So if you need it for a tournament, the cards will come. Now for Kohong, I don't think you need the Cat 7 or the Cat for a mini. So you might get them beforehand. This is a tough par 5. Tough pin position. You know, you can go more aggressive over the sand, but I'd rather just kind of play it up close and safe. I didn't have to use the overpower there. We would have been a little closer at it. I don't think I have any of my accounts close to Cat 7 yet. I got maybe 2 that are halfway there. Okay, so we have a short iron and a headwind. So a little above mid. We'll go ahead and adjust as a mid. That's still not too bad. Those are some decent cards. Or clubs. I mean, you're playing expert level, right? Okay, so we got a rip back, and it's going to spin off to the right. So let's use some side spin to straighten that up. We're going to have a little bit of a wind push. I'm going to set up right at the pin. 3.3. I'm going to adjust 2.4. And see if we can finally get that to spin in the cup. So there's 2.5. There's 2.4. Expert, normal, master, mini. Yeah, those are perfect clubs for that length. APOC 7 will help. And I just died. Fell well short. I mean, the adjustment looked like it was about online. but it stopped about a cup or more short. Hey Julie, thanks for the good luck. Now here's a potential reachable par 4. So let's get our power 10 ball. We should be able to get short wedge. Hopefully that great shot doesn't hurt us. Good first bounce. And just no roll. Just stopped on the roll. Alright, let's look like what kind of distance we have here. So there's max. So we're looking at about 65% club. So I'm gonna go 4 rings. It's always funny when you play against people you know. Especially when you're not expecting it. A couple of times I've come up against people in my own clan. Of course, it's even funnier when you play yourself. When you play against your replay or one of your other accounts. Because it's like, okay, I know what the outcome is. Oh, come on, be the great we needed. Oof. Right over the cup. That's the thing, if you have any kind of speed in this game, you don't get that like barely drop or swirl down in. You got to hit more center. Over the edge of the cup is never going to drop unless you're perfect speed. Alright, so we have a cross, light headwind. Minus 31. That's not happening here, Kevin. I did have a couple extra drops, but then I turned around and gave one back with a missed chip. I'd take this more as a good look at the holes and what you can do to improve on it. Maybe one day I'll get a minus 31. I mean, it'd definitely be nice. The only thing I can do is consistently almost make it. That was somehow way underadjusted though. So it looks like losing that tiebreaker with that missed shot is really going to hurt us. Now I did get the minus 31 on the par 5 course, but does that really count? Every hole was a par 5, you know, getting, what did I have, minus 33, you know, minus 36 was possible, but there were just a few that weren't reachable. Alright, so there's Max Club. I can't judge that with the spun out. So let's see if we can't spin it into the cup. Nope, that bounced way too far past what I was expecting. A lot of secondary wind push really threw it forward. I landed about a square further past my aim spot. So if we get into the 23s, that starts at 12th through 2nd. We're at 16, 4, so 17, 4. We might get close to 18. So we'll be in the 6th to 4th range. Unless we drop an albatross. And that's unlikely on this hole. Anybody who's played this hole knows that you generally need the Hellfire or the El Capitan for that second shot, and you're usually hitting into that bottleneck and running up. I mean, hopefully we can get into the 17s and the tiebreakers. We actually got a lot further drive than I expected. So 4.2 is going to be 2.4. I'm going to go 2.3. With the extra push, I'm going to go 2.4. Maybe 2.5. We do get our ultimate shot. Good bounce. Good roll. We get into the 17s. We were in line, but I was set back a little too short. So that should take us into the top 5 range. We still wouldn't have taken the first spot without the mistake. You know, we should have been at a minus 24 with about 18.9. So that would have only taken us to second place. So not a bad finish. We used 18 balls. That's all we've used on this. So if we finish within the top 8 here, you know, we should get a good return on the balls that we did use. So we got one more tournament left. The Crosswinds challenge. Let's look at the payouts on this. So anywhere from 5 to 17 win or trophy balls. So it's an 18 holer. We don't want to use all high powered balls if we don't have to, unless we're really going to have a chance at winning it. So I'm going to play the first hole, just kind of see with a high flight. You know, we get crazy winds. You know, big adjustments. But if we can play through and place well with relatively cheap balls, then we can come out ahead. So the only problem with potentially playing the cheap balls is that you could, you know, end up adjusting out of your range. But luckily with no timer, you can take all the time you need to adjust. Hey, Radu, thanks for the good luck. Thanks, Julie. It's nice to be able to finish in the top 5. I still need 4 wins to close out my 2K for the Ultimate Cup. So it would be nice to get a win, plus with the balls. But I also don't want to overspend the balls I have, just trying to get that. Let's see what we need here for the win. So it looks like this bracket's not full yet. That is. So I see a minus 19. I expected a little higher than that. Hey, Harry. Doing fine. How are you doing? Oh, yes, Radu, if you're still in here, Biancaneri is wanting to join the clan if we have openings. Glad to hear you're doing all good. That's what I was thinking, Radu. But I didn't know if anyone ever confirmed that that a relic was really done or not. See, this is a headwind. Pretty strong. I'm going to push up close. A lot closer than I normally do. It's the same as his name in the chat there. I can, after this shot, I can back out and look at it, and so you can see it. If you want to, Being Canary, you can go ahead and put your friend code. I did not even play any Royales today. You lost 2 out of how many? Oh yeah, it's still a loss. But good point still. Yeah, the Royales are fun. I enjoy the Royales. I was just doing other stuff today. And then I wanted to get through these tournaments. Hey Quad, how are you doing today? Looks like I'm gonna have to overpower this. Drop off some more backspin. Should have left the backspin on there. I'm doing pretty good. I still have some stuff to do tonight for making my sheets for tomorrow to be ready. So, Julie, on the Royales, especially in the lower tier where you're at right now, rookie-wise, there's a link in the description below to Weibo's stream, or his channel, and it shows how to do the quick fire, and that works really great for the rookie. And you know, it's getting a little harder to maintain those as I get higher up, but they still work great for bunkers and roughs, just not the best of 6, and not the best on the tee yet, because I haven't gotten to that point. But I often find if you can fire off another 2 shots, you can make up for the lack of drops. I shouldn't have done that second push and let off some of that backspin. Now I still need to find an extra if I want to chance it first. This is an ugly hole, especially in this kind of wind. It's very easy for this hole to trickle into the rough. So I'm not going to overpower this. I'm going to give it some right curl to hopefully hold the fairway. Oh, I clipped a tree. So now we're really hurting. General approach to those is max back. Yes, you can also, I didn't know Radu made a video for it, so check out his video as well. Wish I knew how to slice in this game already. This definitely seems like a good option for a slice. So let's assume this is a Royale. So if I was doing this in a Royale, first thing, max back, and then, you know, hit the swing, and then pull back real quick and let go. Of course, this isn't a Royale, so I'm going to aim. Somewhat. I've been wanting to make a slice video for Golf Clash. I just need to find somebody to shoot friendlies with, so that way I can take the time to set up and show, you know, slice versus 1 versus 2, the results, so that way I can talk about counter slicing as well as normal slicing, because a counter slice can be really important as well, especially if you have a skinny landing spot and you're doing a max overpower. I just need to find somebody to make the video with. I know, Radu. I'm just talking about in general. You can do a slice without curling. But let's say I wanted to hit straight. I can slice, because slice is just changing the angle of the landing spot. Yes, you can do a slice and a hook. And if I use left curl on a slice, when it lands, it'll go straight. But the slice itself just changes the angle of where you land. So one of the holes that I used to counter slice is that Jamil Dunes, where it was a really thin fairway, but you can get to the green. I understand what you're saying, Radu. Slice it, you don't have to curl to slice. Yeah, a slice is... slicing in Golf Clash is one of those intermediate skills that you want to learn, because it can really help you out of a lot of tough situations, and sometimes it can get you a little better. Oh, you mean between here and... okay. So I haven't even tried slicing yet in here. So I haven't even looked at what it looks like as far as landing spot. I don't know how many rings. I think somebody once said 20 rings still worked in this. Yes, I know Sebastian really loves doing slices, and I'm assuming he's got videos up, I'm not sure. Right, I remember Duff said that you don't get the kind of distance that you want from slicing. Yes, there is, Julie. The Golf Clash Rings Bible has the slice rings for every club. That's another reason to slice. Alright, I'm starting to not pay attention and goof up here. But that's okay. I don't know how many times I've tried to drive this green, and almost every time I end up right here in this rough. I mean, it's such a dip and turn. It's really hard to get through that. Given I'm still struggling to know where I'm going to, how far away I need to be from the pin. On this game. Talk about hitting the brakes. Stopped on a dime. I could have used that to get back where we goofed off. Another one of those ultimate golf fake outs. They like making you think that you're about to make a drop and then just go, nope. This is another hole where you have to be careful on your drive, because if you overdrive, you'll drift off to the left rough, and if you're too far right, you'll drift off to the right rough. Given we got a tailwind, we're just going to set up short. I'm going to use no back. Just let it run up there. 14.3. if I haven't been playing, yes, the Golf Royale is one of the best ways to progress your clubs, because even if your pin bags are full, you're going to be getting clubs, and you get a lot of epics, or at least I have been getting epics from winning. And another way to progress your club is the pin bag. You know, if you can rush the, you can get auto release, of course. So if you did the season pass, your pin bag is halved to only 6, and then you've also got only 8 cash to open up the silver bags. So if you open up 6 silver bags at 8 cash, and then you're getting 20 cash back from the pin, you know, you can really speed open a lot of chests. I've had a lot of auto releases the last couple of days. A lot more than normal. Look how horrible that is. So I have a Galaxy Tab S7 Plus. The screen is super sensitive, and if I lift my finger a little, or because of the stand I use is kind of spring loaded, if I push too hard, it takes a little lift sometimes as an actual full lift, and it just releases it. It's one of the things I have to pay attention to and make sure that I'm applying a even continuous pressure. Correct. The Orca is remarkable for the Royales. It's the club I use. I use the Orca all the time anyway. I mean, it's got a great shot view. It's got decent accuracy. I mean, there are times in par 4s where I'll slam it into the sand close to the green because I have pretty good confidence I can possibly drop the Orca. It's one of the issues of running a high flight here. Shooting into the trees, not knowing if it's going to clip them. Now this tournament does have restarts. If I was worried about trying to finish really well in it, then I could restart it. But really, I'm just kind of doing the looks here. The rewards aren't great enough to worry about trying to do great and spending, you know, win balls on this. Especially knowing that I have to drop extras in order to, you know, win it and get decent balls. Now I will be interested to see how many of these guys that are been in my brackets lately that are Pro 3 actually go up to Tour Pro. I have a feeling some of them are hanging out in Pro because they don't want to go up to Tour Pro, just based off of how long they've been playing. So the yellow jacket is really good for the Royales too, Beyond Canary. It's got great back. So it really depends on which type of Royale you're playing. The Ninja is great if you have one where you're trying to get consistently close, but it doesn't have enough backspin often, and you have to adjust it. And if you have to spend time adjusting, that's lost time you spend getting shots off. Whereas with Yellow Jacket, you know, you just max back and you're good. You don't always need full power, depending on your level. We'll see if there's a Royale done once I finish cranking through this and submit a basic score. And once I submit a basic score, I'll take a look at whether or not I feel it's worth restarting later tonight. But if I can spend 18 high flights and get 4 or 5 trophy balls, that's a pretty good trade-off for me. You're using the Yellow Jacket? Okay. The Hypnotics. I used the Hypnotics for a long time until my Atlas got to level 3. And once the Atlas got to level 3, I stuck with it until this got to level 5 because my Atlas hadn't progressed. You know, my Atlas is still a level 4. So that put this a little better than the Atlas. When it comes to the wedge, you're mainly looking for shot view and accuracy. You know, because you want to see where it's going as much as possible. And then you want, of course, room for grades. I have the Zeus level 3, but I have dropped more when I switched to the Atlas. The Hive also has more top spin, and I know the bigger guys play basically like the Rapier method, where they stretch out the ball guide and, you know, use that, because the closer you are to your ball, the smaller your rings are, and the less adjustment you need. But like I said, like you saw me playing earlier, I still need to learn how far back I need to play on each of these greens. mean, one of the things, I wasn't doing the top spin approach with the Atlas. I was using backspin, and I'd often stop like you saw me when I used backspin earlier, you know, like at the 98, you know, 898, stop right there. I wouldn't get the drop. So right, I know the Hive will be the best, and they said a maxed Atlas is better than a lower level Hive. But as of right now, my Atlas is lower than my Hive. But I've only had it for a little less than a week, and probably by the time I start getting it dialed in, I'll upgrade it again, and I'll have to start all over. But the Hive is definitely the one I know that I'll end up with when it all gets said and done. So if I start practicing with it now, oh man, duh. I was like, how did I over adjust that so bad? I adjusted my max in my head for what is min. I know I'm going to be all messing up this week trying to set my spins by using the tap method. They do make some of these holes downright hard. I mean, of course, this would be easier with a wind ball or a trophy ball. You know, I wouldn't be as far back set up. This game's been an interesting learning curve. I definitely am not ready for Tour Pro yet. I mean, luckily I still have a number of weeks, but I just don't think that I'll be able to compete with those guys. Even with knowing the, just because they know how to adjust, how far each club's going to roll out and everything. They know the holes better. I mean, just seeing from the sandbaggers that are staying out of Tour Pro and how I struggle to try to beat them. That was weird. I've never seen the camera view change like that. So once you get to Tour 9 in this game, if you're playing with this high flight ball, for example, these are the wins you will see in your shootouts. I mean, almost all of my shootout wins in Tour 9 have been 14-17. I think Radu was seeing the same stuff in his Tour 10, Tour 9. Yeah, the shootouts, you know, it's bad when the wind is larger than the range of your club. If you're set up in max and your adjustment takes you into the second club. Alright, so there's our horrible score. We got it posted. Replays are free, so I could replay with some balls if I wanted to. But at 46, I'm going to get 4 trophy balls and 5 Pro D1s. I spent 18 of the high flights, and I'm going to get 9 balls back that are better than the high flights by far. So that's a good trade-off for me. Correct, you're definitely playing against maxed out people. So we got a random Royale in 8 minutes. I'll enter it, set my clubs, play a head-to-head, and then we'll get back. So I don't know if you've seen this, Radu. If you tap the name of what you're looking for, it brings it up to the top. I just realized that the other day. Had no clue. I was scrolling each time. I tapped it by accident. Saved so much time now. I mean, I had tried tapping the club itself to see if that worked, but of course it didn't. Found that the second day. I tapped the name and moved on. Or tapped the club itself, and it didn't work. I didn't spend another minute thinking about it. I just moved on. At least my opponent's using a high flight as well, so they're going to see the same wins we are. You often see a lot of specials. So, I mean, during the actual gameplay itself, the wind isn't that bad. I always find that it, is the lower wind during the actual hole. Yeah, trying the club didn't work. That's the one thing I did try. So most of these are your wood or your long iron for the shootout. I find it's most often the wood. And see now, look, 16.4 and a tailwind. So I'm definitely looking at going the entire gamut of my club. Or well, it's not as much of a headwind, so. But that's like 11 rings. Our opponent shot it with a long iron. And I over-adjusted. Unless I typed in the number wrong. And that was a maxed Pegasus they had. So we still got 5 minutes. Hate when you can't see what the guide's going to do to know that it's going to roll. Of course, look, our opponent is using a red Barchetta 5 and a Tor Pro. A Tor Pro ball. If this was Golf Clash, this is one of the times where I would just forfeit after they drive, so they waste their ball. because they're going to drive super close. They just dunked that. I don't know if they were dunking it on purpose. I don't know why you would dunk that close. We still got 2 minutes. Gonna take our big shot. So this is an uphill roll. And we got a headwind. I usually set up a little further back on this, but I thought maybe the uphill roll and headwind combination would slow it down. Royale starts in 1 minute. Alright, should be on my way. Can you join us in the Royale? Claim our rewards here. And get back into the Royale. So it's a random Royale. Not a best of 6. So just shoot until you shoot and it keeps adding up in your score. On the sand and rough, I will be doing max back and using both curl and hitting grates in order to do my wind adjust. And on the woods and wedges, I will try to play them with minimal adjustment using grates to try to adjust for me. Well, hopefully we're not. I like it when we both can win and take the first place points. Only 923 people. This T-Man guy, he's almost always in my brackets. He's pretty good. That's the only one I recognize. I don't know how many people they put in the brackets. I'm assuming it's 100 each. So if there's about 1,000 people, that should be about 10 brackets. So we get a big old 0 to start. Hit the pin. So we're a little hot, we need less power. Single grate should adjust for our wind. A little too much, a little too close. 3/4 power, see how that rolls. Good speed, just a little less power. We already know max back doesn't work here, so we're just going to roll up this time. Now we clip the rough. Half power. A lot better speed that time. So a little bit more than half power on that shot. A little more than half power on this one. Not enough. Alright. Hopefully we get these same shots. Need to get that shot off quickly. Hopefully I get some points or I'm going to get myself eliminated. So goofed around a little too much on that one. I've got Nox 808 in my bracket. Nox 808 is a pretty solid, consistent. Also have Radu. Alright, so now it's top 13. Gotta try a little harder this time. So not too bad for the Bigfoot. A little hot. About 3/4 power next time on that. So that was full power that time. Full power was perfect speed on that. Okay, I need overpower on that one next time. Oh, I forgot to lower the power. That only needed half. Quit hitting my elbow on the desk. Uh-oh. So we'll advance. Not our best round, not our best effort. And if we're not going to get 9,000 points, it's not really going to help me overall, other than clan point or country club points. The game crashed on you. That's no good. You can see Nox 808 right in there too. Well, hopefully you can get back in time, Radu. Nice drop to start. little too hot there, but at least we hit the pin. I used the grate to offset the adjustment, so I wouldn't have to sit there and take time to adjust. That probably should have been top spin, but we'll be okay. A little too much curl that time. I forgot to lower the power. At least we're staying consistently close. You know, we're not blowing too many of them too far past. But somebody's getting drops. Because we're not. And we're going to run out of time before getting our last shot out. 69, so even if we hit one, we weren't going to help our overall. So we're probably going to stay second. Right behind Radu by about 200 points. My guess is, since I only got 10 shots off, he got 11. And he probably had a hole out as well. So with me having the 25 wins already, the only time it helps me to win again is if I'm going to get more than 8,000 points for the tiebreaker. You got 11. See, he didn't get a hole out, and he got 11. I only got 10 off. I didn't have enough time to get that last one out, and I had a hole out. So that's why you want to do the faster approaches. And you noticed I even fast shot the wood there. Not as fast as I could have, but and using the grates to take account to my adjustment. I did have those two that went long. Had they not gone long because I overpowered, I might have gotten the win. But that's going to conclude everything for me tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure you check out Radu's stream. He's got a lot of great content on there for how to play if you're learning. Also check out Jared A, Ultimate Duff, and David Pendleton. Thought your last one was a fast shot. I was trying to get it off, but it just took a little too long because of the wood or the long iron. Yeah, my last long iron was still taking its time to stop before I got it off. But thank you guys for hanging out. Good luck out there, and I will see you next time.